Mixed martial arts. Mixed martial arts. How do we like our martial arts? We like it mixed!
Could it be? Is that EKC Leiden back on the ones and twos? No, it is not. It is the honorable, the inestimable, the other words that mean wonderful, Mike Heck on the ones and twos today for the first time in 6 weeks. Boys, I say boys because I assume no women are watching this show, but if you are, we love you too. And we mostly love that we got the UFC back in our lives, baby. One more sleep, 26, 27 hours before we have fights back in our lives. And the UFC on Paramount era kicks off with UFC 324 tomorrow night. We're going to talk all about it here on the MMAfighting.com great website preview show. I am Jed Meshew. Maybe you saw me earlier today on Morning Combat, but you didn't see this man unless you were tuning into some other programming of ours. I mean, that's the king in the north right there. That's a great website on his shirt. AK Lee, Alexander K. Lee. How we doing, AK? How we feeling ahead of fights?
Jed, it's been too long since I flashed my MMA fighting nipple towards the camera, so I'm glad we're back. I had to get that out of my system. Incredible introduction by Mike, though. It did give me almost wartime like flashbacks to our time with EKC Leiden, the very loud and very aggressive EKC Leiden. Of course, very missed here at MMA Fighting, but also, again, very loud man he is.
Plus, we know how you feel about mixing martial arts. And
oh gosh,
much less yelling about mixing them. Must have been a very traumatic experience for you. I'm sorry you had to go through that, AK.
Jed, it's 2026 now. I think I have to, you know what? I think one of my, I'm not going to call it a straight up resolution, but I think one of my, plans for this year will be to maybe embrace the mixing of the martial arts a little bit more. It's not going away. I thought it was just fad. I thought like, they'll stop after Conor McGregor went away. They'll stop mixing the martial arts. Nobody wants to mix the martial arts anymore. It feels like they're mixing the martial arts more than ever. So here we are.
Maybe not though. That is, we're about to have Zuffa boxing. Maybe the martial arts will stay apart, as we all know they deserve to be. Shout out to Clone CX9. Any drama at the weigh-ins? AK, before we get into this whole card breakdown, there was in fact drama at the weigh-ins. Actually, quite a bit of drama, including the headline grabbing Cameron Smotherman. I knew you all were anticipating this. The biggest story ahead of UFC 324 as it stands right now is prelim fighter Cameron Smotherman, or as I might say, no longer a prelim fighter because that fight has been removed. AK, I was not watching live, but for those at home or those listening afterwards who don't know what we were talking about, Cameron Smotherman had a bantamweight bout against Ricky Tercios, successfully made weight, so much so that even the UFC news Twitter posted that he made weight, and in the act of leaving, he left the scale after making weight and did a full-blown flare flop, a couple of hard, heavy steps, and face planted just at the very last moment, was able to catch at least a piece of himself, get his hands in front of him so he didn't go full face to floor. But AK, you were doing morning weigh-ins. It's your calling, your mission in life in some respects. I've never seen anything like this, like at a UFC weigh-in. I've heard rumors of things similar happening, but what was that like to watch that in real time?
Yeah, the closest I can think of was we had Julia Stoliarenko a while ago. That was a really scary one, but that was almost like sort of gradual. And I think her team was with her the whole time. I think they obviously knew she was really in really, really bad shape. I'm not saying Smotherman's team didn't, but they certainly were not there with him as he stepped off the scale. Stoliarenko, she was like wobbly going up. They had to eventually, I believe they had to eventually get a stretch. Like she didn't do a full on collapse. They did eventually have to get like a stretcher. She kind of stumbled, and I think her team was there to catch her. This was really surprising. So I was doing it live. Anyone who was watching knows I was just like stunned into silence. And also, I'll admit, I was not catching it like immediately as it happened. I think on some other tab or something, writing something, updating. I'm doing the weigh-ins. I'm tweeting out the weigh-ins and all that. So we had Paddy come up first, made weight, no problem, 124. Then Alex Perez oddly came in second and just totally missed weight, 2.5 pounds. So I was wondering if he was going to use try and use the second hour, but it was such a huge miss. I guess he just thought I'm not close to making it. Let me just get up here. I'll take my penalty later and just start rehydrating as soon as possible. The third person to come in was Smotherman, and he successfully made 135.5. And then again, I wasn't actually on the tab at the time. I heard a loud thud and stuff moving around. And I actually just thought it was Jose moving equipment because
that happens.
he was in and he was in a weird setup this time. Normally they have the weigh-ins at the Apex, a lot of very roomy kind of situation. Apparently they're crammed in there like sardines at the T-Mobile Arena setup they had today. So I thought Jose just banged his head against equipment, which he was doing several times during the show. Poor Jose. But no, as soon as I checked back, I was like, oh, Cameron Smotherman is on the floor. And obviously we had the replays up really quickly on social media. Everyone saw it. People were, even before us, there was clips just floating around. Yeah, it's just a full-on face first onto the ground. Really scary. He was down for quite a while, sat up a little bit, then just kind of went back down, sat up, was helped to stand by the end, looked conscious to me, but was then literally carried out by two people, off his feet, carried out by two people. So it was, I actually, I went off air for a second just to write some stuff up for the website. And again, I don't know what I would have said in the moment. It's probably better I didn't try and comment on it live. We can all assume it's a hydration issue, but we don't know. Hopefully that is all it is and something that they can take care of. And it's not something scarier because, if it was something more serious, they probably should have postponed the weigh-ins longer. Like, honestly, it was maybe a little delay, probably a little over 5 minutes, which is long for a weigh-in, but it could have been even longer until they made sure that he was okay to be transported. Because I don't know. I don't know what the situation was, but let's trust the medics on site. I think they did a good job of getting to him, and hopefully Cameron Smotherman's okay. But yes, that was really scary. And of course, his fight with Ricky Tercios was canceled.
Yeah, certainly hope Cameron Smotherman's okay. That is one of the more wild things I've seen at a UFC weigh-in. Because like you said, you occasionally see fighters struggle and they might look super bad. In the rare occasion, their team might sort of hover around them like nervous mothers, be like, are they going to make it? And in those situations, we're like, wow, that fight probably shouldn't happen if we're not even sure they can stand on the scale for that long. But what was really surprising watching it is like Smotherman's on the scale and okay, like he looks bad, he looks gaunt and drawn out, but until the event happened, I would not have been like, oh, that guy can't, he's past the point of no return at this point. But then it all escalated so quickly. And just a really scary scene. Glad he got his hands down. If he had ate that like fully on the chin, that certainly would have been good. And of course, that fight not going on. And we wish the best for Cameron Smotherman. Two other updates from the weigh-in as well, AK. We had Smotherman did not miss weight, actually, but we did have two fighters miss weight. Alex Perez, who is fighting Charles Johnson in a flyweight bout, he came in at 128.5, so 2.5 pounds over the 126 limit. And former flyweight champion Davison Figueiredo came in at 138.5, so 2.5 pounds over his bantamweight limit for his bout with Umar Nurmagomedov. Both bouts are expected to continue. And AK, I guess at Media Day, when Figgy said he was never a flyweight, he was always a bantamweight who was killing himself to make 125. Suppose that man spoke true because he couldn't even make 135. Anything to say about either of those before we get into the thick of this card?
I mean, just disappointing to see. I don't even want to make the excuse that like, oh, it was the holiday. Listen, all these fighters were on holiday. All these fighters had Christmas and New Year's and all these celebrations to deal with. So Figgy, I mean, again, for a guy who was a flyweight, and we know that wasn't an easy cut to just whiff at 135. We say this for a lot of people. Sometimes it's not about weight class. Sometimes it's a discipline issue. I don't know if that's the case with Figgy. He's a little bit older now. Obviously, it's hard to get that weight off. And for Alex Perez, second time he's missed weight in the UFC. Always tough to see. He's had a lot of trouble getting fights to just even stay locked in. So it's always something with the poor guy. But yeah, two veterans, two guys who had been fighting at 125 for a long time. Hopefully, again, and I always say this, hopefully it's not a health issue and both guys are okay. But hey, both fights are on and they paid their fee.
Yeah, both fights are on. I will say, honestly, my first reaction to the Figgy is like, maybe this is smart. You're a super big underdog. Maybe try and get some edges here, but he looked pretty tough on the scale. So I'm not sure this was an intentional coming in overweight plan. I think he just may have had a tough weight cut, and he might have a tough fight tomorrow. We'll get into some of that potentially as we go on. But AK, enough of the meandering. Let's get right into the thick of things because we're not going to go forever today. despite the fact that we haven't had fights in 6 weeks, we got a lot of good ones coming up. So let's hit into them. UFC 324, T-Mobile Arena, headlined by Justin Gaethje versus Paddy Pimblett, interim lightweight title fight. And AK was 6 weeks off. And this is the not just the first event of 2026, which is always something special and feels good. The first event of the UFC on Paramount era. Like, this is the new era that we are in. What is I know you've stopped doing gymnastic scales. We're not going to do that, but I do want to get a gauge for this one. What is your level of excitement for Saturday's card?
There you go. That's my level of excitement. This is the only rating system you need. Are we feeling good? Oh, it's all blurry on my camera screen. That's a thumb up.
That's an interesting little dead zone in your camera.
Yeah,
right
I don't know what that is. So, I'm doing the blur background. I don't know why I'm doing the blur background. I think about it because there's literally nothing behind me. Should probably turn that off at some point. There you go, guys. Let's try it again.
There we go.
So there you go. Strictly a thumb up for now. We'll refine the system. I'm sure. Again, it's pretty easy to do.
Honestly, I love this. Just a pass fail system is terrific.
It's not going to work once you start digging into the fight nights and the
No, you're just going to have to pass fail. But the thing is, you can't do it like you just did it, right? Like you can't do the slow reveal.
Oh no, really?
You've got to go full on gladiator. You got to go.
It's about
and wiggle it, make them decide before you go boom, thumbs up. I love this gimmick for you.
Well, I wasn't going to do that today because this is a clear thumbs up. This is a good card. This is a good card. We'll criticize the stakes all we want. I think the whole interim title stuff is silly, but we've talked about this ad nauseum, right? It's fine. Let's just looking at the fights themselves. I'm so hyped. This is the perfect card, I think, for if you're a hardcore who has really just been like, the last 6 weeks. Man, I kind of miss my UFC action. Even if you enjoyed having a break, I think you feel refreshed and you want a good card to come back to. I mean, this is the one. This is really good stuff. We got some squash matches on here. We've got a main event, which frankly I love. Other than the title being on the line, and who cares? Like the title being on the line doesn't make it worse. It's just whatever. It's just silly. It doesn't affect the fight at all. The matchup is great. The potential storylines that come out of it are great. The fact that Jen and I wish we could make a bigger deal out of this, but we can't because he's really being mostly firm about it. But like, I wish we could celebrate that this might be Justin Gaethje's last fight. Like, I doubt it, but I do feel like there's a part of him that if it goes really badly, he's on the spot in the moment. He might, lean towards saying like, I'm done, or I don't know when I'll be back. One of those post-fight speeches, I don't know. I could see that, and it's kind of sad, but I also want to celebrate him because I love Justin Gaethje and like his fights are amazing, and I don't want him to retire.
Yeah, I think there's a very high likelihood that he doesn't fight again if he loses. Maybe not on the spot. I think he probably will at least let the emotions die down should he lose tomorrow. But I also just don't know that he will continue fighting. There'd have to be a specific reason. And the UFC could give him some, but we'll get into that. And let's talk about that main event though, AK, because you said it. This is, I think, a great way to start off the Paramount era for them. It was better, obviously, when we had the Kayla Harrison Amanda Nunes fight. That fight fell off to be rebooked later. But even without it, I think this is still a very good card. You see over my shoulder 2 Meshew stars. And the issues are all about, what does this mean? Should this be happening there? Not about the quality of the fights themselves. And nowhere is that more evident than the main event as Justin Gaethje takes on Paddy Pimblett for the interim lightweight title. AK, as we come into this fight, there are a whole lot of questions swirling around it, right? I got a few that I just sort of want to get your take on. We haven't talked about it. We did write earlier this week about a couple of topics, but you and I haven't specifically spoken like about this card. So I guess my first and biggest one is we wrote about it, but tell me your thoughts. Does the winner of this fight have even a claim, like any sort of a claim to being the number one lightweight in the world? With Ilia Topuria, saying he's coming back, but he's out for a little bit. Ilia Topuria didn't beat the number one guy in the world to get the belt. Arman Sarukian's in a bit of a nebulous spot right now. Is the interim champion arguably the best lightweight on earth come Sunday morning?
Man, I mean, I can't make an argument for, I can't do it. And I like both guys, I think it hurts Gaethje's fact that we've seen him in title fights before, undisputed title fights. Like, you can't make a case he's better than Charles Oliveira. He fought Khabib. Fine, Khabib's retired, but I mean, nothing in that loss of Khabib made you think like, well, if it wasn't for Khabib, Gaethje would be the number one lightweight in the world. Like that wasn't really the chatter at the time. You know what I mean? And like I say, but Ilya is there, but he didn't beat the number one guy. He's the number one guy because he has the belt, because of what he did at featherweight. Because if you're doing a lot of fantasy booking, you could kind of tell yourself, well, Ilya would beat this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, so you feel comfortable with it. Arman, it's hard to factor in because the UFC doesn't like him. I mean, the UFC is they're the last group that will say that Arman's the number one lightweight. They don't promote him that way. They don't look like they're going to give him the chance to prove that anytime soon. So it can't be him, right? I would still say Islam, except that Islam has not given any indication that he ever plans to return to 155. I don't know what fight would coax him back, possibly. Seems to be loving life at 170, and will probably just stay there until he retires because he's really good there. Clearly, it's was not a too much of a lift for him, as it were. So I'm strongly leaning towards no. But if one of these guys puts on like some scintillating performance, either gets a fast finish or just this dominant like 5-round performance, I get it. They'll want to say it, and it'll be fun for us to say, like, because we don't know when Ilya's coming back, and it sucks to see someone win a big fight on Saturday, like that can happen on Saturday, and then for like 6, 7, who knows, 8 months, going like, oh well, we don't really have a number one lightweight. It's this guy who hasn't fought since he won the title. It's a crappy thing to do. So I'm saying no, but also I don't know who I would say like unequivocally is the number one lightweight. Depending what happens this weekend.
Yeah, lightweight's just really interesting right now because I don't know how long Ilya's out. Ilya is saying he's coming back in the spring. Fighters say things all the time. I am not willing to believe that that's happening until he does it. Arman has done so much. Arman has done the most in the weight class, but also hasn't beaten the top guy. Really tough spot to be. But let's get into this fight specifically, AK. Things have happened this week. You know, Justin Gaethje has been pulled in a few different directions this week, talking about fighter pay. I just saw a clip right before we went on of him getting a bit snippy with a Brazilian reporter who asked him about the patch on his neck, which appears, at least on paper, to be covering up the ingrown hair that he had several weeks ago, which many people speculated was staph infection. And he doesn't seem to like talking about that. So he's pulled in a lot of different directions, not to mention he's got a tough fight ahead of him here. Paddy Pimblett, underrated by many, not by you. Let's just be very clear, not by you, AK, but underrated by many people. And so as we look at this fight come Saturday, what do you think sort of is the biggest factor going into this matchup between Justin Gaethje and Paddy Pimblett? What is the big thing you are most sort of curious about as it comes to pass?
I'll be honest, I'm kind of liking chippy Gaethje. I kind of need him to be a little bit like crusty. And I know he's kind of firing shots in all directions. It's kind of like an unfocused crustiness. Obviously, he's got a lot to say about Paddy. But, you know, like you said, he's also kind of just a little bit of a beef with the UFC, kind of bringing up the fighter pay. Like, I don't think I'd ever see him just speak out right at the promotion. But there's discontent there. There is the attitude of a man who kind of has nothing to lose going to the last stage of his career. So there's that. And then, like you said, obviously being a little sensitive what's going on with the situation with his neck and what's going on with his lip. Jed, I know you've said on previous shows, you're pretty confident
Buddy,
that's
staph. I don't know what to tell
you.
I am not a doctor. Like, it might have started as an ingrown hair, but like I've had ingrown hairs. They aren't open wounds. Like that's, and the fact that he still has it covered, like I get not being like that's staph and not wanting to say that. Totally understand that. But like, I don't know. Until I see a doctor's note calling that something that I don't know, like you'll never convince me that's not staph.
And it's none of whatever it is. It's none of our business. You know, we are not owed any that kind of medical information. But his defensiveness against it was a little suspect, and that worries me. That kind of stuff worries me. He is quite a bit older than Paddy Pimblett. There's all these sort of external factors. We'll talk about the style matchup, I'm sure. Of course, it's been discussed ad nauseum, and I think we've all kind of broken it down the same way in our heads. If someone has a different angle on it of like how this fight might go and their strengths and weaknesses, I would love to hear it. But it's these intangibles that have me thinking. I hate to keep coming back to this. The retirement possibility looms. Now, he has danced around it. He has been asked about it. Trevor Whitman said flat out, if they don't win the title, he just doesn't expect Justin to continue fighting. But it wasn't Justin who said that. It was Whitman. It's Trevor Whitman who said that. But Justin's been asked a lot about, of course, how many fights do you have left, and is this your last fight? Blah blah blah. I cannot help but worry if there's just a little bit of that edge taken off, knowing that, win, lose, draw, this fight, next fight, that he sees the end. And if for most fighters, that's not a good thing, especially against a young, really hungry, aggressive fighter like Paddy Pimblett. So I can't stop looking past that.
Yeah, there are a lot of things that don't seem to be lining up for Justin outside of size. Paddy is huge. I did think that was a really fun thing from Paddy, though, where in their first face-off, he slouched and looked real small. And then last night, they come face-to-face, and Justin's like, oh, dude, you grow 3 inches? What the hell happened here? That was pretty fun. But I have a lot of questions, especially like Justin being chippy about the covering really makes me feel like that's not just like, oh, I cut myself shaving. So a lot of things going on. AK, you mentioned it. I think everybody knows the style matchup here. Classic striker versus grappler. If Paddy can get him down, Paddy's going to win this fight. If Justin can keep it standing, he's going to win this fight. But is that last part true, AK? Is that Paddy Pimblett has grown a lot in the recent years, got a lot better. You saw potential in him before most people did, certainly in the media side and certainly on our website. And he has paid you off in a lot of respects in that way. Justin Gaethje is the most difficult opponent he's ever faced, in my opinion. I think most would agree. Even if Gaethje might not be at his best, I still think he is better than Michael Chandler or Tony Ferguson when Paddy got him. But given his improvements, is there a world that Justin Gaethje, he has said it, he has talked a big game saying he's going to knock out Justin Gaethje. Is that all fluff, or can he win a fight if it is predominantly on the feet with Justin Gaethje?
Knockout would shock me. I mean, knockout would genuinely shock me. But Paddy's always been, I don't know if we put him in our, we always like to use this phrase a lot, Jed, you and I, on like plus athlete. I don't know if I put Paddy in the plus athlete range, but he's not bad.
Definitely not a plus athlete.
But I don't consider him to be an unathletic.
He's not a minus athlete.
Yeah, he's not a minus.
He's just an athlete.
He's just he's a normal athlete. So he's always had that going. He's in good shape. He has power. He's always had raw power. He goes back to his Cage Warriors days, guys. Yes, he's a grappler. But he when he throws and he hits, he can be kind of effective. We saw that in his first few UFC fights as well, to the point that people who weren't familiar with Paddy, because there were so many like broad Conor McGregor comparisons. I remember his first couple of fights because he won them by knockout. People were like, oh, he's just another McGregor, no ground game thing. And I'm like, wow, this is like, people will learn quickly who had not seen him before, because he is a ground guy first, but clearly showed enough in the hands to at least kind of fool people for a second. And it's gotten better. Like, for sure, it's gotten better beyond just the raw power. There's improvements. Is it something he's going to want to put on against Justin Gaethje in such an important fight? I don't think he'll be afraid of it, but he's gonna have to be really smart, because we're not just talking about power, right? We're not just talking about boxing. We always have to talk about the leg kicks too, right? And if Paddy is not careful and just eats a bunch of those early, it's not just the striking that's going to go out the window. I mean, his ability to take Gaethje down is also going to be greatly affected. So this is probably one of those fights we're going to learn a lot in the first 2 minutes. I'm not saying whoever wins the first 2 minutes necessarily wins the rest of the fight. But again, if you see Paddy get an early takedown, okay, it could be encouraging for him. If you see Gaethje just lighting up Paddy's lead leg, that's going to matter in a 25-minute fight. So I'm really, really, really fascinated to see that. But would not surprise me at all if this was primarily on the feet and Paddy managed to eke out a decision win. But he has got to look out for those leg kicks. I mean, that is the story right there.
I'd be surprised if he won a striking battle, but not shocked, right? Like, it definitely is not what I would say is likely to happen. I'm also interested to see about those kicks. I don't know if Gaethje's going to throw them for fear of the takedown, right? Which would suck, because that's one of his best weapons, and maybe he just holsters it for this fight. I honestly, the more I've thought about this fight, the more I think it's terrific matchmaking. I'm going to learn a lot, and I have a lot of questions heading into it. I think I have my read. And my read is perhaps colored by what I want to happen and not so much what I think will happen. But AK, what is your read? It's that time.
Yeah.
Let's get to a breakdown and a prediction of this fight. Who you think leaves Saturday night as the new interim lightweight champion?
Yeah, man. As of the morning that we were recording the show, when I was doing the weigh-in show, I was almost begging the commenters, like, please tell me who to pick, because I don't know. I think you can make such a reasonable case for either guy. I'll tell you now, I'm going Gaethje. That is where I'm landing. When you see my predictions on MMAfighting.com on Saturday morning, guys, that is the direction I'm going to go in. I'm sticking with. I'm blocking out the retirement talk. I'm blocking out whatever this not staff on his neck is. Blocking all that out, Jed. Skill for skill, I know Justin Gaethje at his best is the better fighter. He will not be taken down and controlled on the ground. And in the stand-up, he's just better. I mean, people can do a much better technical breakdown than I can. But y'all have seen Justin Gaethje fight. Y'all have seen Paddy Pimblett fight. You know who is the better stand-up fighter. Barring a big leap for Paddy that we have that could emerge on Saturday. That maybe we see the best striking version of Paddy Pimblett yet. Fine, but from what we know, without having to be too predictive, it's Justin Gaethje, and I'm going by decision. I think it's going to stay on the feet for the most part. Yeah, he might get taken down once or twice. He's going to deal with maybe being held against the fence. I think there's a size and strength benefits for Paddy Pimblett for sure, but not so much that I think he can just completely dominate Justin Gaethje with the grappling. I may look like a damn fool come Sunday morning. This could be a Shemayeving of the highest proportions. I don't know. I'm optimistic that it's not quite over for Justin Gaethje yet. I don't know. Maybe I'm not ready to get off the ride yet, Jed.
Yeah, my brain says I'm supposed to take Paddy, but I don't care about my brain. My brain is stupid, so why would I listen to a stupid brain anyway when my heart and the vibes can tell me? And the vibes this week, absolutely atrocious, but screw it. I'm doing it anyway. I am not ready for Justin Gaethje to lose and potentially retire. And I see the path. I see the way forward. Paddy is still not very good defensively with his striking. He has a good chin, but that chin is way up in the air. If Gaethje can avoid takedowns for long enough, start piling up damage, I think Paddy eats a big one, and that is night for him. AK, before we go to the co-main event, just a one-word answer from you here. We don't need to talk about this ad nauseum, but I do think it is the other thing coming out of this fight. So in one word, yes or no, does the winner of this fight face Ilia Topuria later this year to unify the belts?
Yes.
I think I agree, but I'm not confident in that. So something to keep an eye on, which we will, I'm certain, talk about on the post show after UFC 324. Let's move on to the co-main event, aka new co-main event. Originally, this was, of course, supposed to be Kayla Harrison taking on Amanda Nunes in their long-awaited battle for the women's bantamweight title and the return of Nunes from her retirement. Harrison suffers a neck injury, has to get surgery. She's out. I don't know how long. I don't think we've got a full timeline on that yet, but that fight is postponed until hopefully later this year. In its stead, the former feature bout of the evening, Sean O'Malley, former bantamweight champion, taking on Song Yadong in a surprisingly important fight, moves up to the co-main event. AK, much has been made of it from Sean O'Malley himself, but I haven't heard your opinion on this, so I would like to hear it. Sean is saying a lot of things. The biggest one that he is saying, a victory over Song Yadong, certainly an impressive victory as he is planning, gets him a title shot, a rematch with Piotr Jan, potentially at UFC White House later this year. Do you think that's true?
Yeah, I would think that's why they're doing this whole thing, man. Boy, there's no stopping the Sugar Show, man. I remember when this card was first announced, and he was joking. He'd immediately released like comments on YouTube or social media, like, "Oh, I'm falling off. I'm not even one of the top 3 fights anymore." I think when the initial like tentative schedule, he was either like the opener or fourth or the second fight of the night on the main card. And sure enough, fates have conspired to put Mr. Sean O'Malley in the co-main event, and Song Yadong. Let's not forget UFC Seattle headliner Song Yadong. So great position for both guys. But yeah, I would have thought that was the motivation behind this booking. Not to be too cynical and not to say that the matchmakers just assume Sean O'Malley is going to run through Song Yadong, but on paper, this is all the makings of what should be a good performance for Sean O'Malley. Will he knock Song Yadong out? Maybe not. I don't know. Song Yadong's pretty tough, but Sean O'Malley getting his chance to sort of style and show off his fun striking and personality for 15 minutes, that could be beneficial for him as well. Nothing beats a quick knockout, but if it goes to the cards, Sean O'Malley can still make a very, very convincing case that he is the guy to be put in the next title fight with Piotr Jan. I imagine the UFC kind of knows as well, or that maybe Merab is going to take not a significant amount of time off, but at least 6 months. Right. Just don't book a fight for 6 months, considering the absolutely hectic 2025 schedule that he made for himself, which was great. shot for the moon, landed in the stars, didn't quite complete that mission, that the record-breaking mission. But that's okay, and I think he deserves to take some time off. So with that in mind, Petr Yan is going to want to fight, obviously, within the first 2 quarters of 2026, and that Sean O'Malley rematch has been talked about for a long time, and the stars would just align perfectly if Sean O'Malley were to win, and we get another 5 rounds of what was just like one of the best fights of that year. I love that first O'Malley Yan fight. So good matchmaking. I think everything's going according to plan, Jed. Just that now Sean has to take care of business.
I do think it's good matchmaking. I think Sean O'Malley will get a title fight. I don't think it'll be at UFC White House. If he beats Song, I think they'll do what they did at 300, and he will be the event before that, like he did 299. Because not everyone can fight at the White House, and that just feels like that might make more sense. But the other side of the ball, AK, nobody of all the fighters on this card, and certainly all the fighters on the main card, I don't know if any fighter has been talked about, thought about, considered less than Song Yadong. 28 years old, coming off a controversial but not controversial win over Henry Cejudo. The way the fight ended was controversial. He was very clearly winning that fight before the weird eye poke situation occurred. A guy who has had a ton of promise in his career, still only 28, as I said, but the few times he has gotten a big opportunity, a big setup. He got to fight Corey Sandhagen when Sandhagen was on a losing streak. Corey beats him pretty badly. He gets to fight Petr Yan when Petr Yan was in free fall. And Petr Yan, that is the win that got Petr Yan back on track. Now he is again getting a big name, high-end fighter in this weight class on a losing streak. It's hard to say that a guy this young and this talented needs to win this, but AK, third time has to be the charm, right? If he loses this, are we just done believing Song Yadong is this future contender that many thought he would be as he was coming up?
I don't think so. I don't think we're done. And the only reason I say that, not the only reason, the main reason I say that is I think you could draw a comparison to someone who had defeated Song Yadong in the past, like Corey Sandhagen. Corey Sandhagen also had the reputation for never quite winning the big one. Now his path was different because there was that like TJ Dillashaw fight. We were like, Corey very possibly won that and should be fighting for a title now. But he had to wait. He had to wait a long time instead. I don't rate Song as high as I rate Corey Sandhagen, but I just make that comparison because if you stick around long enough and you keep racking up high profile wins, there does come a point where the contender line kind of clears up, and if your timing is just right, you can slot in there. Like I'm really glad Corey Sandhagen finally got his title shot. I think we all thought he was the best remaining contender to not get one. That might be Song Yadong now. I'd have to look at the list. Guys who haven't even had a chance to fight for the title, he has to be up there.
As far as the ranked dudes
right,
at the bantamweight division, he is 100%. I mean, Figgy is behind him, and Figgy's the only other one.
True. And as we said, Figgy will not be fighting there anytime soon.
Correct.
So yeah, I'm not going to rule it out, but this will be big. The weird thing is, if he beats Sean O'Malley, he's probably not in the same position to get that spot at the White House or on any upcoming card because he just fought Petr Yan. He doesn't have quite that marketing thrust that Sean O'Malley has. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe of course, there's always that wanting to appeal to a different market, maybe wanting to appeal to that Chinese market, and they work on something there. But it just doesn't feel like that is what's in the cards for Song Yadong. But hey, he beats O'Malley and then gets another win after that. We are really talking about him maybe being the next title challenger. He's got a strong resume. He is missing those signature wins, but he does have a pretty strong resume. So still alive, Song. Definitely go get that win on Saturday for sure. But it's not the end of the world. It's not the end of the world if he doesn't get it.
I think a loss is really bad for him. Whereas a win, I don't think he will fight for a belt next, but I would say that it's possible depending on how things shake out. Because again, a win over Sean should propel you up. That should be the launching pad moment he's looking for. The UFC is always in the market for Chinese stars. Song Yadong can basically be the best Chinese fighter they have that's not named Zhang Weili. And Zhang, how much longer is Zhang going to do this? She's not young, so maybe a win here gets him into a really big spot. I think at the minimum it would get him a fight with Umar, which is another huge opportunity. But a loss does feel bad, though. Your comp to Corey Sandhagen, pretty good one, honestly. I had not considered that, and I think that is, Corey had to wait around and he had to get a little lucky with timing, but Song's young enough to wait, so maybe that's the case. AK, I assume I know where you're at because it feels like everybody is pretty unanimous on this fight, which is super, super interesting. But let's do it. Give me the breakdown. Give me the prediction for Saturday night co-main event.
Sticking with conventional wisdom here, guys. Don't look for me to put my neck out there with some outside of the box selection here. Sean O'Malley, great striker. I think he's a little bit quicker. I think he's definitely bigger. Reach matters so much in a matchup like this. I don't think Song has quite enough wrestling. I know he can. I don't think he has quite enough wrestling to take this fight over. And I think if you see him go that route early, I actually think that's probably not going to be a good idea for him. His best chance is really kind of stick with what brought him to the dance. Just maybe try and overpower Sean O'Malley, but it's really hard to do. That's like an easier said than done thing, right? I can say, oh, well, Song Yadong, you hit so hard. Why don't you just go run up there and smack Sean O'Malley in the face? Sean O'Malley uses angles so well. He's very difficult, very evasive, very hard to hit. Again, I'm not saying Song can't do it. I mean, we've seen Sean O'Malley get hit by people before, but we're talking about, again, like, Petr Yan, a guy who's going to clip him. I don't put Song quite at that level. I feel like he's in that tier of like very good to very good in so many categories. And I think you need to be great at some of these things to be able to catch Sean O'Malley. So I don't quite put him there. I'm going to go O'Malley, but I think it's going to go the distance. So I think Song will put in a good effort, just not quite enough to get the win.
You and I are in the same boat.
Yeah.
And it's weird. It feels like everybody has said that. And yet Sean O'Malley, only a -215 betting favorite via our friends at FanDuel. I think everyone appreciates who Song Yadong is and that he can make this fight competitive, but I think the range is going to be a killer. He's going to have to try and get inside, and that's just going to be tough for him to do. So I'm picking O'Malley by decision. AK, we got more fights on this main card, but we're not going to break them down in the way we've done these top two. I'm going to play a game, and I'm so good at this hosting thing. I didn't tell our esteemed producer, Mike Heck, about this game to do like a graphics package or like a soundboard, because I came up with the name of this game literally in the process of us talking about this right now. So the game is going to be called Punchline. Bum, bum, bum.
Oh, wow.
Wow, look at him go.
Perfect. Perfect music cue as well.
Nailed it. We got 3 more main card fights. For each of them, we're not going to do deep dive breakdowns. I'm going to run down those 3 in just a moment. But for each of them, I just want you to give me the punchline of each fight. The thing that is the biggest story, the thing you're the most intrigued about, the biggest question. What is the focus point of that fight? The feature bout, Waldo Cortes-Acosta versus Derek Lewis, a heavyweight bout, maybe a title eliminator, depending on how some things shake out. What is your punchline for the feature bout of Saturday night?
Well, I mean, I guess at the very least, it's can Derek Lewis do enough to get his spot in the White House? That seems to be what he feels he's destined to get, ideally with the title on the line, whether it's against a returning Tom Aspinall or, heaven forbid, if Tom Aspinall cannot recover in time, an interim title fight or maybe even a vacated title. But they would love to have a heavyweight title fight at the White House. They would love Derek Lewis to be in it. But let me answer this punchline. It's not even a question. I win or lose. I will say this: win or lose, Derek Lewis is fighting at the White House. I guess the only question is, will it reasonably be for a title or not? But he'll be there. But that's the storyline. I agree with you, but to play devil's advocate, to give something else, I will say my punchline for this one is: can Waldo Cortes-Acosta keep this up? He changed his stars in 2025. This is a man nobody cared about coming off the Rebellis to Spain win in 2024. And he is the hottest thing going, give or take, of Walter Walker at heavyweight right now. He has a big opportunity against a big name. One of the fights on this card that I think is a true no bad outcome for the UFC, right? Whoever wins this, they're pretty happy. But can Waldo Cortes-Acosta turn the momentum of 2025 into real star power and real big opportunities in this promotion? He's got his first chance on Saturday. And I hope he doesn't do it, because our producer extraordinaire, Mike Heck, will benefit greatly in his fantasy team if Waldo Cortes-Acosta does that. The next fight for the punchline, a women's flyweight title eliminator, Natalia Silva, taking on Rose Namajunas, former 2-time strawweight champion. What is your punchline for this women's title eliminator? Your next flyweight championship contender. I mean, this has got to be. I'll go as far as to say, if it's Natalia Silva, your next flyweight champion. I'm that much of a believer. I've got that much stock in Natty Ice, but this is not a layup. This is Rose Namajunas. We're talking about a former strawweight champion. She has beaten some of the best fighters in the world. I know it's a different weight class, but when you've beaten Zhang Weili twice, when you've beaten Joanna Jacek twice, and you haven't looked terrible at 125. I mean, she's got wins. Even her loss with Menafero was pretty darn competitive for someone she was giving up what looked to be a considerable amount of size to. And I believe she said she broke her hand as well. So that's not fun. So Rose is legit. So legit that if they don't give Natty Ice a title shot, if they don't lock her into a title shot after this, I'm gonna be upset, Jed. I'm gonna raise my voice. I'm gonna write an angry tweet if that doesn't happen.
Wow, an angry tweet. I don't think you have to worry about that. I do believe this is a cut and dry, no doubt about it. The only way it wouldn't happen is if the winner gets an interim title fight, because Valentina Shevchenko is called to service if Kayla Harrison is out for a very long time with her neck surgery. But even then, they probably make Val bail on the belt, and we are going for a vacant title fight. I will say my punchline for this, though I agree with you, again, I'm not just going to repeat that. I'll say, can Rose finally do the thing? Like that, because that is kind of the question I have. I know Natalia Silva is very good, and if she wins, I won't be surprised. But Rose has been mercurial her entire career, even down at strawweight. When she moved up, she's never really lost badly at flyweight. She got 2 losses, Aaron Blanchfield, Manon Fior. Manon's the undisputed number 1, not Valentina Shevchenko flyweight in the world. And Rose fought her very competitively her first time at this weight class. She lost Aaron Blanchfield. Again, was relatively competitive in that fight as well. Can she finally do what clearly the goal has been, was move up, go after another belt, try and join the double champ ranks? Can she finally get herself to a title fight, get it all locked in? It's the thing I'm most kind of watching for come Saturday. And AK, the final main card fight that I need a punchline for, Arnold Allen, Jean Silva featherweight contest. A bit of a weird one.
Oh, what happened? Jed, I lost you. Producer Mike, did we lose Jed, or am I the one that's floating out in space? Oh, there you go, Jed.
Let's say, am I still here?
I think I lost you.
I don't know if you lost me or not, Mike. Do you know which of us died? I lost Mike.
It was you, Jed.
Oh, me?
We're all back. We're all back.
I apologize.
I think you finished the question.
I don't know. I was leading you in to give me the punchline for
Yeah.
Arnold Allen versus John Silva.
I'll give you the punchline for this. Is this going to set the bar early? I mean, well, I guess you can't set any earlier for fight of the year. Could we have a fight of the year contender? And guys, it is very possible for fights of the year to happen in January, February. And we've had it happen before. We had Merab, of course, and Umar last year set the bar pretty high. Don't think it ended up number 1 on anybody's list, but still was in the top 5 by the end of, got a lot of consideration. And then I think one was Islam and Volk. That was in the February card, right?
It was February, buddy.
February card.
Carlos Condit and Robbie Lawler fought on January 2nd.
There you go.
That was January 2nd.
And that was
it.
And
we left that being like, oh, cool, the year's done.
It's just like, all right, well, we're going for that number 2 spot. I love this matchup so much. You and I are both always talking about how Arnold Allen's a pretty kind of underrated as far as being an exciting fighter, just because I think too often people glance at decision. They must have been boring decisions. And there have been some forgettable wins in there. Don't get me wrong. Every fighter has those. And Arnold Allen has certainly had some, but the Max fight was great. The Movsar fight was awesome. The guy has just had good. What was the last win? The with Giga. That wasn't bad. Yeah,
that was the last guy on.
Yeah, he ran through Dan Hooker. So I get it. People see decisions and they see boring. There's just a lot of fighters. Movsar is like that too. But I mean, the fight with Aljo I thought was great. Again, we mentioned Arnold Allen, blah blah. So I think this is really flying under the radar as far as how exciting it could be. But obviously, Jean Silva brings out the best in everyone. The guy's a maniac, and then if you get him to kind of make Arnold push the pace even more, bring out the aggression even more, man, this could be a straight up banger. Obviously, the matchmakers know this. I think they are banking on this opening the the first Paramount main card in a major way, and I do not think they'll be disappointed. So I could be the fight of the year early on, and I bet we'll end up in the top 5.
My early prediction for fight of the year is Gaethje Pimblett.
There you go.
But I do think this fight rocks. I mean, Arnold Allen seems fired up. People have forgotten about him. He seems trying, like, ready to come in here and maybe make a statement. I love that. My punchline, my big question for this fight is, will Jean Silva take a step back? Will he pump the brakes just a hair? Because this is a guy who was not that far away from beating Diego Lopez and fighting Alexander Volkanovski for the featherweight title. And then he got crazy because that's who he is at his core. And he got punished for it. I said after that fight, maybe this will be a Justin Gaethje-like learning lesson for him. It took Gaethje a couple to realize I can't be a total psycho at all points in time. Has Jean Silva learned that, or does he need another lesson? Because if he rushes in at Arnold Allen, he might get Dan hookered. And I'm excited to watch and see. AK, I'm going to read off the rest of the prelims because this is going to be our last bit before we go to the Q&A. And just want us to shine a spotlight. Pick your favorite prelim fight that we haven't talked about. I'll do the same, and then we'll go to the peeps. We'll bring Mike in. We'll Q&A for a bit and get out of here. Those prelim bouts are Umar Nurmagomedov versus Davidson Figueiredo, now a catchweight bout at 138.5 pounds because Figgy Smalls missed weight. That is the prelim main event, as it were. Ateba Gautier taking on Andrei Pulayev, middleweight contest. Nikita Krylov, Modestas Bukauskas at a light heavyweight contest. Another catchweight bout, Alex Perez versus Charles Johnson. Alex Perez missed weight, it's 128.5 pounds. A lightweight battle between Michael Johnson and Alexander Hernandez. Two dudes on sneaky winning streaks, by the way. Heavyweight, your heavyweight for the Fantasy League, Josh Hokett taking on Denzel Freeman. And a welterweight contest opens the show as Adam Fugit takes on Ty Miller. AK, use that big old spotlight you got to give some love to one of the prelim bouts.
Yeah, I'm a big Umar guy, but I'm not going to pick that fight because I feel like we're all picturing how it's going to play in our heads. He just has this big, he's going to have a size advantage, even though he's not the one who missed weight. He's going to have a size advantage, clear size advantage. Strength advantage, the wrestling. It's going to be a long day for Figgy. I just don't know if it's actually going to be that compelling of a fight, other than for us Umar heads who just love seeing this guy go to work. So I'll talk about Michael Johnson and Alexander Hernandez. Like, one of those lightweight matchups, you would have thought, like, surely this is a rematch, right? This has to be a 2. They must have fought before. Somehow, just like ships passing in the night, man. Never quite crossed paths. The timing, I don't think, ever made sense. But you're right. They are two of the hottest young names in the lightweight division right now. They are streaking. Stylistically, on paper, looks like it's going to be a fun matchup. I mean, both guys are well-rounded, but I think when it comes down to it, they're just going to want to bang on Saturday. I think they're just going to throw down. So for as long as it lasts, because I think either guy actually has the potential to put the other guy away, I would imagine decision, but someone's good surprises with some just huge highlight reel punch. So I love that. That's a classy lightweight fight. It's a classy prelim, Jed, and we don't always have enough of those on these kind of cards, but you need at least one. And I'm glad we have Michael Johnson, Alexander Hernandez.
I was stone shocked when I learned that both men are on like real winning streaks.
Yes.
To blew my socks right off. I will give you mine, and I'm going with was supposed to be flyweight contest between Alex Perez and Charles Johnson for a number of reasons. Obviously, the weight miss is a little tough. Perez probably getting his walk-in papers with the loss. He's like won one of his last 7 fights or something. Has had some trouble making it to the cage. Even Charles Johnson sneakily like in the mix. I know he lost to Ramazan Timarov last year, but then Timarov popped. And so, like, maybe you view that loss a little differently. Outside of it, he's got a lot of wins together. One of those being a knockout win over current flyweight champion Joshua Van. If he can come out here, Alex Perez, let me pull up the UFC rankings real quick. Alex Perez is number 11, sorry. So Charles Johnson gets a win here over Alex Perez. He's not that far off from fighting for the belt, which is a bit crazy given how things have shaken out, but also he could lose this fight. Alex Perez, he struggled, and I suspect he will lose, but I'm pretty fascinated to watch this one. So that is my prelim to shine some light on. And now we will get to you, the peeps. Fire your questions into the chat. Mike Heck, get on in here. And when you get in here, why don't we hand you a spotlight as well, buddy? Why don't you throw a little shine on one of these prelim bouts before we go to the peeps? Because I know the one you're going to pick. I intentionally left it so you could do that.
Hashtag Ateba Gautier end scene. He's gonna nuke a fool, and
he's probably going to end the scene on Andre Pulayev. That does
Yeah.
seem very, very likely.
he will get a bonus and a thrilling highlight to kick off the UFC on Paramount era.
I'll tell you, he's starting to get a little bit of a push. Not a huge one, it's early, but they started getting Ateba Gauthier with media members. Our friend Brian Campbell for CBS, he spoke with Ateba. Ateba eats bugs, apparently, so something to check out for. They're starting to give him a little bit more of a, hey, this is a guy to keep your eye on, and they've been giving him matchups to obviously excel. I think this is another one of those. So we are climbing with Ateba, by the way. So let's rock on hardcore. Mike, I know we don't want to be here forever, so I've decided, this is controversial, but bear with me. 8. We're doing 8 questions, 8 cues from the peeps, and we're out of here, because then we won't go long and we have some things that we need to get to. And we don't need to talk too much about this. This card speaks for itself, and tomorrow night on our watch party on MMAfighting.com, great website, we'll be talking all about it. So pick the best 8 cues, Mike, and we are counting them down, and then we are going to get out of here and get ready for the ceremonials, which should be going on in a couple hours.
I will lie to you, 8 seems like it's going to be too many. But
No. 8's
we'll
perfect.
We'll see what we can do.
8's perfect.
We'll start with the super chatters.
Super chat from RS40D1C. RS, thanks for being here as always. Paddy, beating a 37-year-old Gaethje doesn't do him favors when he actually goes and fights Topuria or Arman. Where does he go if he loses to Justin on Saturday? AK, where do you think he goes with the loss?
He'll be fine. Again, he has gone farther than so many people expected already. He's going to deal with a lot of crap. Obviously, he was exposed. Jed, I know you heard about this. He lost to Justin Gaethje. He got exposed. That's what's going to be the. There's no shame in losing to Justin Gaethje. Okay, it's Justin Gaethje is an all-time great fighter, future Hall of Famer. So I didn't expose anything. Does it sort of recalibrate our expectations for him? Yeah, as it should be. That's what a lot of fights should do, guys. This is not exclusive to Paddy Pimblett. But I'm realistic. I understand his gab and his hype has definitely it's a little bit outsized relative to his accomplishments. I get it. That's totally fair thing to say. But I do think he's built himself up to a level where all it takes is a UFC London appearance and another big win to sort of get his hype back. And I'll leave it at this. Win or lose, this is not the last time Paddy Pimblett will fight for a UFC title.
Ooh, a bold proclamation. Yeah. Shout out to Dave Sandy and gifting 5 sub memberships. We love you, Dave, for that.
The man. Just
absolute class. Pure class. Not what Paddy Pimblett would describe as a helmet. I think that's the one he uses. I'm trying to keep my Scouser things. And another 5 from Dave. What a non-helmet thing to do, Dave. Such a class guy.
Just showing off.
I'm with you. Mike, are you with AK? Because I think a loss isn't great for Paddy. This is a setup opportunity for him. But I think he's fine with a loss. There's a lot of options for him, even coming off a defeat to Justin Gaethje on Saturday.
Yeah, he's going to go fight Dan Hooker. It'll be a personal fight. And if he wins that, he's right back. So
that's true. He set up that potential Hooker fight very well by just trashing Dan Hooker. So not even trying to trash Hooker, trashing Arman, and Hooker caught the strays full in the face. So I agree. I think obviously a win is better. A loss and he'll be A-okay. And I do kind of even agree that eventually he probably will make his way to an undisputed title fight. Mike, next one. Lazy Bet, do you expect any cameos during UFC 324? Stallone, other CBS Paramount recognizable names. Obviously, the big cameo that has happened was the UFC at the Golden Globes. I don't know
why you got to bring that up.
Because we should talk about that constantly.
Oh my God.
I love that they did the math problem right, and they did use the right formula and got the wrong answer. Yes, let's put Mackenzie Dern and Brian Ortega on TV. Correct, in the worst way possible. Wrong. So, what do you guys think? Do you think? I mean, we're gonna have stars. Stars are always in attendance, and the UFC will have that, but are there going to be any integrations with CBS Paramount sort of stardom?
I will take back every bad thing I said about the UFC and the production ever, or for the last few years anyway, if they do a Survivor style intro to the UFC 324 with Jeff Probst. That would be unbelievable. It won't happen,
It absolutely won't happen.
I can dream. I can dream, Mike. I can dream.
Buddy, you can't. Here's the thing. You don't do it for this one. Maybe next one, because Survivor 50 starts at the end of next month. You don't do it for this one. If you're going to do that, you got to time it a little closer to Survivor 50.
Of course.
Because that's there. But something like that would be cool. It would be wild. But I could see it happening, though maybe not for this first one. Mike, anything on this?
Maybe like Tom Hardy will be there, and they'll put him over.
Yeah, we're gonna have stars. I think eventually you could see the stars be a little more CBS focused for like, oh, we've got a new show coming up, and look, there's the cast of Landman in the
Billy Bob there, little Billy Bob. All right.
Exactly. But here's the whole cast of Landman. Season 3 starts streaming next month or whatever. So
Donnie Wahlberg,
probably not for this one.
You gonna get Donnie in the building?
What's he in?
Blue
FBI
Bloods.
or one of those
I'm
CSI?
literally looking at the Blue Bloods.
I think that is a thing that will happen, but maybe not for this first one. But I hadn't even considered that, Lazy. Good question. 6 to go, and number 6 is going to be Dustin Kilburn. Thank you for the $5 super chat. What shorts are you packing if you're scrapping professionally? Tie cut, board shorts, spandex? Oh, and where's D-Rod? Mike, we talked off air.
Yeah,
you're a man who very much likes to exercise, with the old crossfitting. What are you crossfitting in, and would they be your fight shorts as well? Are you kind of you board shorts, man? What are we thinking?
I don't know. I'm more of like I don't know. I wear different kinds of shorts, I guess. Sometimes it's like soccer style shorts. Sometimes it's basketball shorts. Sometimes it's like a board short kind of a thing. And sometimes it's sweatpants. Just depending on how cold
you can't fight in sweatpants.
Yeah, so I think I'd probably go board shorts though.
AK, are you fighting in the long Shinya Aoki pants?
Obviously, I'm rocking the Dennis Hallmans, the UFC 133s. Look it up, people. Look it up.
Don't do it on a work computer.
Safe search off.
Safe search off. I have my long-standing belief is that the tie shorts have the most swag, and I couldn't pull them off. I want old school Pride Fedor or Shogun, like just the basics, tight and easy. Let's go. Also, again, shout out, happy birthday, AK Lee from Dave Sandine, who gifted another 4 memberships. Dave, just doing the Lord's work out here, and we love you for it, Dave. Dave, comment. I have beef with MMAF watch party thumbnail. Mike Heck, this is a creation of yours. I think it's terrific.
It's so good
too.
But apparently people have beef with it. What do you think Dave might be beefing with, Mike?
That I look like I have way more hair than I do.
I didn't want to say that, but it is true.
I did not. You cartoonized way better than I did. Like, I don't know if it's just like the angle, but like every good big reaction that I had, it was always when like Casey was producing. So there was like a graphic over me. So I had to find like the cleanest spot of like me available. And it was just me just like laughing at your reaction. And like, that's how it cartoonized. I tried it like 6 or 7 different times, and that was the best it could do. But yours came out
Mine came out
and
terrific.
Good.
It's I put it as the profile for like most of my socials and stuff. Cause when you sent it to me, I was like, that rocks.
Yeah.
That's so good.
But I still, I still think it came out awesome. Like look, maybe I gave myself a little bit of hair, but you know what? As the creator, I'm allowed to give myself more hair. I'll give myself license. Yeah. I'll give myself a friggin' mullet next time. I don't care. I'll be like John Stamos in the first season of Full House up in here on the next watch party. You know what I'm going to do? Every single time, I'm just going to give myself longer hair. Every single one. So next week, I'll have even longer. Really it's going to be like down to the floor by the time we get to 2027.
And tomorrow we can get you some more angles to have more opportunities to cartoonify yourself. Mike, 4 more questions.
I'll throw this up there.
Joseph Bosa, we always got to get one for Joey B in here. Longtime viewer. Can the winner of Natty Ice and Rose get a title shot with a decision? Do they need a statement-making performance on Saturday night?
Let me just say this real quick, and I'm glad Joseph found the way to correct himself, because I think he knew where the original question was going. Because the original question was, can the winner of this fight jump over Erin Blanchfield to get a title shot? And let me just tell you something. Both of these women, and Macy Barber and maybe and Manonfiore and maybe like 3 others are already ahead of Erin Blanchfield in this conversation. It's just the way that it is. She's a very good fighter. There's just like no marketing pizzazz to her whatsoever for her to be in like that position where the UFC's like,
Evloev of women's flyweight.
Sure. But not
boy, that's a great question to like try to figure that out. But Rose for sure is getting a title shot if she wins. I think Natty, it'd be crazy if Natty didn't, but honestly, like if Macy Barber goes out there and just wrecks Alexa Grasso in March and they haven't booked Valentina's next fight, it would not shock me if they just chucked Macy into that spot if Natty wins like a 29-28 tomorrow. But if Rose wins, she's getting a title shot. Like there's no doubt about it. This is the fight they've been trying to get to for almost 4 years now. And now they have a chance to get there.
I agree. Rose does not need to win impressively. Any W will do. I kind of think that there's not a world where Natty doesn't get it. Just the body of work is just too strong if she goes out here and beats Rose. And the only way is if it's a robbery decision, right? Like if whoever wins, everyone unanimously agrees that was garbage, then maybe not. But otherwise, I think the winner's just fighting for the belt next. So it goes. AK, anything to add?
Yeah, just saying this is a decision, or do they need a statement making performance? A decision can be a statement making performance. So I actually think I'm almost sure this fight is going to a decision, but I think whoever does it is going to have to do it in an impressive way. So
my climb very much hopes it's going to a decision, or at least going 13 minutes.
I can't see a finish.
We got a couple left, Mike, before we get to our countdown. And this one is from Cosmo Kramer. Kramer in the building, 28. I'm glad you kept these comments PG. I know what you've done, Michael Richards. If the Buffalo Bills hire Phillip Rivers, can we all laugh together in unison?
Yes.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
It'd be amazing.
This would be the best. This would be the gift of all gifts.
Oh, my goodness.
To me as a New England Patriots fan, which, by the way, I can't wait for the tears of Buffalo Bills Nation to fall in unison.
Listen,
when the Patriots beat the Broncos, all this whole, they have the easiest schedule in the whole world. Let me tell you something. If Drake May goes in there and beats
Stidham,
listen.
But listen, if Drake May goes out there and beats the Broncos on Sunday, statistically, it would be one of the more difficult runs for a quarterback against defenses ever in NFL playoff history. Ever. Ever. Top defenses every single time. Top 3 defenses every single game. And he went out there and beat him. How many quarterbacks threw for 3 touchdowns against the Houston Texans this year? 2.
Yeah, I'm not going to play this game with you.
Don't do it.
Every Patriot fan in their heart knows that there's truth and they don't care because,
what are we supposed to do? Yeah. What are the Patriots
you can't do anything about it, but it's one of those things we could all acknowledge it. It's like, you're right. He scored for 3 touchdowns because I don't know if you saw this, but
maybe
CJ Stroud just kept giving you the ball over and over.
How about you credit the Patriots defense for being damn good too?
That's the thing. I think you absolutely can credit the Patriots defense. They've been pretty lights out since they got Milton Williams back. They're been really good. So
yeah,
I think they probably are going to win, but I have a friend who's a Bills fan. And as a Colts fan, I thought us pulling Phillip out of retirement to be our QB fruitlessly was one of the more shameful things that's happened. And the Bills have decided to one-up us. So good on them.
I hope they do this so badly.
It's just an interview. But it would be very funny.
I don't feel like you do this interview unless you're trying to do this choice. Like it was just a tryout for the Colts, and then suddenly he was on the team and
it escalated.
It is wild thing. Last one, Mike Heck, and we are out because I told you 8 was perfect.
This is the last one.
Lazy Bed MMA early predictions on the announced 170-pound bout between Chris Curtis and Mick DeBeck Oralby per our friend Big Marcel. Look at that, boys. That's how
this is a UFC announced fight.
Is it? I believe at first it was announced by Big Marcel. I don't know if the UFC has since announced it. But that is how you comment because, Mike, what is the one rule? What is the most important rule? It's not real until you see it on MMAfighting.com. But that's why Lazy Bed put the caveat in there. It's not on MMAfighting.com yet, though I suspect it will be in the near future.
Yeah, I mean, I could tell by Marcel's tweet that this is.
Yeah, it's somewhere.
UFC.
Somewhere it's official. I'm not quite sure
UFC,
where it got. Yeah.
I assume a release came out because tickets went on sale, I think, for the Apex cards today. And I think this is just a part of it. So, yeah, tough draw, man.
It's I don't know if his question said it. It's a 170. I just don't know if LazyBet's question said that or not.
I mean, it's kind of interesting because Chris Curtis is a tremendously defensive grappler. Like, he's really tough to get down, but Mikdebek also hits really, really hard. So, yeah, I don't think this goes particularly well for Chris Curtis. But you never know. Chris is a tough out. Chris is a very tough out. He doesn't really get tired all that much, and he's weathered some big storms and found ways to come back and win. So, intriguing matchup, but obviously I think the smart money is on Mr. Orolbai.
Well, the dumb money's on Chris Curtis, and I'll be putting it down because Chris Curtis all the way. Nobody takes this guy down. Nobody outwrestles this guy. That's not a thing. And Orolbai wants to go. What do the kids say? Band for band, guys on the feet. I'm rolling with the action man all day. So give me Chris Curtis.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this is Curtis's second fight back at welterweight. Orolbai just killed a middleweight coming down to welterweight. Kind of think he's going to do it again. But fun fight, good fight, perfectly solid. Didn't think we'd be talking about that one on the UFC 324 preview show, but that's why we only did 8 questions, because after that we would have gotten into who knows what sort of topics.
Listen, you guys get to ask like an hour of questions tomorrow before the event. So.
There you go.
Well, you get to ask
nothing but.
And so many during the watch party, because Mike, we're going live early, 7 p.m.
Oh yeah, and the hair will be fully grown and ready to go. 7 p.m. Eastern, baby. We're getting after it here in Command Center 4.0. I think this week and next week, very good chance this will be the last time the watch party will be in this room, because Command Center 5.0 is officially under construction.
I saw some previews. Saw some previews. Our games will begin tomorrow. We got 9 fights that we are going head to head in, and all the other things that go on at watch parties. AK, you're going to be doing everything else. You got anything to say to the people before we get out of here, AK?
MMA is back. Where'd it go? It literally MMA just disappeared off the world for like 6 weeks, and it's back.
It just left. Well, we back. We back, mama. Love y'all. See you tomorrow.